I don't know anyone who has figured this out. Actually, there's only one guy in my 11 years in full time in this sector of ministry that I met, and I think God just outright told him for some reason. But so there's only one. Otherwise, who figures this out by themselves? I mean, we need help to understand
Yeah.
what the root cause is from this behavior, right? There's no one that can figure this out on their own. Yet it's so elusive. We want to keep this hidden and figure out the answers on our own. What do you think about, the guys who would just continue to want to either figuring it out by themselves or just the one-on-one therapist? I know that there are guys that are listening here that need to get help. They need to be speaking to other people about this. But there's the shame and they just refuse to because of the shame, I'm sure. But what else is in there?
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, there's really no way that we can figure this out on our own. The temptation of that line of thought for a lot of guys that haven't been discovered in their addiction is, if I can just figure this out and manage it, then I never have to get exposed. I never have to go through the pain of discovery. So I'm just going to figure this out and manage it on my own, and what she doesn't know won't hurt her. And there's obvious levels of dysfunction with that line of thinking. But even for guys that have been through discovery and are working on their recovery, there's all these blind spots. There are reasons psychologically why I can't face the fullness of my own trauma on my own. I'm defended against it. I tend to minimize certain aspects of it. Like, oh, my relationship with my dad really wasn't that bad. And well, you don't understand like what his childhood was like, or, my mom was just doing her best. I know she shamed me a lot, but, she was really just wanting the best for me. And right, we have these stories that we tell ourselves, and there's maybe some truth to some of those stories, that, a grain of truth to them, and it makes them believable, but it keeps us from really facing the depths of them. And I remember working with this guy, and he was molested by his father 3 times. And he would say in our work together that, well, it was only 3 times. And that's something that you can believe on your own. But once it comes out of your mouth in a group setting with people that are being compassionate and paying attention and seeing you in that, and say, only 3 times. What does that feel like to say out loud? Only 3 times. Only. What about your children? I would march over to that man's house and I would grab a baseball bat and, yada, yada, yada. Right. But that was you. That man was never going to be able to face the hurt and anger and pain and sadness of that experience, because he was trapped by the only. And he had no one that could come and free him from that only.